Joining us for more about these hacking groups, why they're such a threat, is David AITEL. He is the president and CEO of the security group Immunity. And David also has experience working as a computer scientist at the NSA. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So we talk about the arrest of 14 people arrested and other raids likely to be conducted. How big of a dent does that put in this hacking scandal or just the whole hacking incidents that we've seen of late?
Well, that remains to be seen. Obviously, these are probably people that may or may not have been up in the hierarchy, if there even is a hierarchy. Some of them are as young as 16, and you may not realistically think of them as super hackers, but there are some skilled individuals in this crew, and some of them may now be behind bars, which indicates that the FBI is doing its job.
And it is interesting. The FBI seems to be needing to play a catch-up game. I mean, there's clearly not enough people in our government as there are hackers as you're trying to crack down. But the interesting question is, what is the motivation behind Anonymous? They seem to be taking a political stand with the PayPal situation, right? Because Anonymous and this other group called LulzSec, they seem to be wanting to prove a point, anger over Julian Assange's arrest.
Well, I think as you may find with many 16-year-olds, there's a lot of rationalization going on. And they'll now claim that they are the forefront of the anti-sec movement, which realistically these days is a bunch of teenagers running around with backticks and search boxes. But, the motivations behind them probably are shared by a large group of people. And even if it's slightly above creating mischief, the fact that there's so many of them, they've been able to make such a big impact. I mean, Sony's claiming they did $150 million worth of damage. Obviously, they took down Senate.gov servers. They've taken down HB Gary. There's been quite a few things that they've done, including most recently, LulzSec came out yesterday with the Sun hack, as you mentioned. And,
yeah, and this was
that
they
could
hacked
actually
into
change
the Sun newspaper owned by the Murdoch Corporation to post a false story, right, that Rupert Murdoch was found dead.
Well, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, as you may see, but certainly they've had a major impact, and it's quite odd to see anything from, the British Parliament talking about it, to the Secretary of State talking about it, to a 16-year-old getting arrested in the midst of London.
Right.
It's definitely a very interesting time.
It is interesting because, I mean, in some cases it makes consumers, right, arguably question the safety of their information. I mean, the Sony, Visa, MasterCard, the PayPal situation, when you're looking at things like AT&T, also the CIA public website, it seems that these hackers are proving a point that no one's safe. Is that true?
And that's exactly true. No one is safe. And the FBI is pointing out that the hackers aren't safe either. And then you go back and forth for a while. And I think the reality is no one knows who's going to end up on the upside of this, but what we do know is that your average job, your average consumer here is at risk of all your information being lost.
And so is there anything you can do to protect yourself if you're, in this global digital world, you have your credit card, numbers out there, you do your online banking, you pay for things online. How do you protect yourself, or can you?
Well, I think in the modern world, the individual has to live as if they have no secrets. And that's unfortunately not the case for most people, including, I'm sure, myself. The corporations that we see, we always advise them to spend as much on security as they have on user interface design and graphics. And for most of them, that's not true either, as Sony is learning to their discomfort.
All right. Well, it's very interesting. We'll see where this goes. David AITEL, President and CEO of Immunity, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next on America.